Imagine for a moment that someone pressed a button. Every bank account on Earth reset, zeroed out. Every billionaire, every debtor, every salary worker wiped clean. And then, just to be fair, every single person on the planet was given exactly $10,000. Same starting point, same rules, same game. Now tell me, who do you think would be a millionaire again in 5 years? The same people, exactly the same people. My dear friend, that thought experiment is not about money. It is about something far more fundamental. It is about the code running inside the mind, the mental architecture that determines whether a person collects wealth or simply watches it pass through their hands like water. Wealth is not a number in an account. Wealth is a pattern in the mind. And today, we are not going to talk about stocks or side hustles or passive income strategies. Today, we are going to talk about something Robert Kiyosaki introduced decades ago and almost nobody truly understood. Today, we are going to talk about the 4 player classes in the game of financial life. And more importantly, we are going to talk about how to change which class you belong to.
Kiyosaki called it the Cashflow Quadrant. I want you to think of it as something else. Think of it as a video game, and the quadrant is a difficulty selector. On the left side of the screen, you have the players who are working for the game. On the right side, you have the players who have made the game work for them. 4 classes, 4 entirely different relationships with time, risk, and money. Let us begin. My dear friend, there is nothing wrong with being an employee. Let us be honest about that immediately. But there is something deeply worth examining about the psychology of Level 1. The employee operates under one core directive: safety. The guaranteed paycheck, the defined role, the known enemy, no surprise bosses, no permadeath. In gaming terms, this player has selected easy mode with autosave. The employee trades the maximum asset, time, for the minimum risk, a salary. And the game rewards this, temporarily. You receive a paycheck, a title, perhaps a desk with a view. The system is designed to feel like progress. But here is where the glitch lives. The employee's income has a hard ceiling. It is capped at the number of hours in a day. And hours, unlike money, cannot be multiplied. They cannot be invested. They cannot compound. The deeper psychological trap is not the low salary. It is the NPC mindset, the belief that the rules of the game are fixed, that the map is the territory, that working harder inside the same level is the only way to win. The employee does not need a raise. The employee needs a patch update, a fundamental rewrite of the belief that security comes from outside the self. My dear friend, the most dangerous moment for a Level 1 player is not when they are struggling, it is when they are comfortable. Because comfort in a limited quadrant is the most elegant prison ever designed. The self-employed player believed they escaped Level 1. They quit the job, they launched the business, they took the leap. And in many ways, they deserve enormous respect for that. But my dear friend, here is what most of them discover 3 years in, usually at midnight, usually exhausted. They did not escape the game. They just became their own boss inside the same quadrant. The self-employed do not own a business. They own a job, and they cannot even call in sick. In software terms, they are running a powerful application, but it requires manual execution every single time. No automation, no background processes, no daemon running while they sleep. The hamster wheel mechanic is precise. The moment the player stops moving, the income stops generating. The wheel only spins when they spin it. This is not freedom. This is a more expensive cage with better lighting. The solo quest is noble,
But it is a trap disguised as independence, because independence and leverage are two entirely different things. One is about escaping a boss, the other is about building a system that does not need you present to function. The patch update required here is architectural thinking, not just doing the work, designing the workflow, not just solving problems, creating systems that solve problems without you. Which brings us to the right side of the quadrant. My dear friend, the business owner is not simply someone who works harder or smarter than the employee. The business owner has crossed a fundamentally different threshold. They have stopped being a player inside the game and started building the game engine itself. The true business owner can leave for 6 months and return to find the company running better than when they left. In software terms, they are no longer writing individual lines of code. They are building the compiler, the framework, the infrastructure that allows other code to run. This is the architecture mindset. The business owner asks a different set of questions than the employee or the self-employed. Not, how do I do this better? But how do I design a system that does this without me? Not, how do I find good clients? But how do I build a pipeline that delivers qualified clients automatically? The shift from the left side of the quadrant to the right side is not a business strategy. It is a cognitive upgrade, a complete rewrite of the operating system, from execution mode to design mode. The business owner understands that time is not a resource to be spent. It is a variable to be engineered around. And the most powerful thing a business can do is become independent of any single person's time, including the founders. This is level up in the truest sense, not climbing higher within a level, exiting the level entirely and entering a new architecture of possibility. And here, my dear friend, we reach the quietest quadrant, the most misunderstood, and in many ways, the most profound. The investor does not work for money. The investor has completed the ultimate re-architecture. Money now works for the investor. At this level, the player has left the game entirely and become the server it runs on. Think about that for a moment. The investor's income does not require presence, effort, or time. It requires something rarer: judgment, the ability to read markets, trends, and systems as algorithms, to see where value is being created before the rest of the world has loaded the map. This is not passive in the lazy sense, it is active in the intelligent sense. The investor front-loads the cognitive work, the research, the analysis, the structural thinking, so that the back end runs on autopilot. Money compounds. Assets generate assets. Time becomes optional rather than mandatory. And this is not exclusive to the ultra-wealthy. The mechanics are available to anyone who understands one fundamental truth. The currency of the investor is not dollars. It is decisions made early, compounded over time. My dear friend, let us talk about the transition. Because knowing the quadrant map is not enough. The real question is, how do you migrate from left to right without losing everything in the process? Here is the patch note. 3 updates to the internal software. Patch 1.0. Audit your income architecture. Before you can change the system, you need to see it clearly. Write down every source of income you have. Now ask a brutal question beside each one. Does this income continue if I stop working tomorrow? If the answer is no, you are on the left side. This is not a judgment, it is a diagnostic. You cannot fix what you refuse to see. Patch 2.0. Build one system before you need it. The most common mistake is waiting until you are trapped before you start building an exit. The time to design the game engine is while you are still playing the game. Begin engineering one thing that can eventually run without your daily input. One process, one channel, one mechanism. Start small. Systems do not require size, they require logic. Patch 3.0. Redefine what you call a return. The employee measures income in salary. The investor measures income in yield on deployed capital. The moment you start asking, what is the return on this time, this money, this decision, you have begun the migration. This is the deepest software update. It is not about tactics, it is about the unit of measurement you use to evaluate your own life.
My dear friend, I want to leave you with something that has nothing to do with quadrants or algorithms or patch notes. I want to leave you with the only thing that makes any of this matter. Time is the only currency that is non-renewable, non-transferable, and non-refundable. Every other resource, money, energy, attention, can be recovered, can be rebuilt, can be earned again. Time cannot. This is why the right side of the quadrant is not about wealth in the conventional sense. It is about choice, the ability to decide how your hours are spent, whether you work because you must or because you want to. The employee works because the system requires it. The investor works because the mind enjoys it. That difference between necessity and choice is not a financial achievement. It is a philosophical one. It is the difference between a life that happens to you and a life that you design. The blueprint is real. The migration is possible. The code can be rewritten. But the game only changes when you decide, truly decide, that you are the architect and not the character waiting for someone else to press play. My dear friend, the patch is available. The question is whether you will install it.